So about a year or so back I was invited to a mate's wedding. Time to dust off the old suit I wear for everything formal suit. The problem was I hadn't worn it in a few years and the pants and jacket didn't fit me anymore, and the shirt collar felt like it would have been better suited in a kinky dungeon on a budget. Apparently I had put on a little bit of weight in the last few years. This was news to me, but I didn't feel like I was fat, so I just borrowed an ill-fitting suit and went to the wedding in that. A few days after the wedding, the missus had posted some photos of the wedding on Facebook, and my first question to her was, who was that fat bastard she's been hanging out with all night in those photos? That tubby fucker was me. I had somehow, in the previous 5 years, gotten fat behind my own back. And this is where our story begins.
Oh, I don't want her, you can have her, she's too fat for me.
Seeing myself in those photos was a bit of a slap in the face, if I'm honest. I always seen myself as a bit chubby but still well shaggable at most, but somehow over the preceding years I'd somehow managed to surpass that and became seriously unhealthy. I'm sure it had nothing to do with drinking at least 3 cans of Monster a day, ordering so much takeaway the delivery driver knew me by name, and smoking more fags than the 1920s mafia. In the UK and Ireland we called cigarettes fags. I wasn't implying I used to suck off 20 queens a day, though there's probably worse ways to spend an evening. Watching Love Island comes to mind. Anyway, needless to say, I'd become aware that I was fat. Not completely blobulous, if that's a word. If not, it should be. But I certainly was carrying a bit of timber, to be sure. Think 6'2", 280 pounds for you Americans, or 18.4 stone for the rest of us. So with the horrible realisation that I was 28 and somehow looked like one of my ageing uncles, I got off my plump hole and started dieting and exercising. And then immediately stopped exercising because nobody warned me that workouts make you stupidly hungry after, which made things a lot harder. And if that failed business idea I had is anything to go by, try as you might, but unfortunately you can't live solely on just eating fanny. R.I.P. the vegogenic diet. But there's still hope for Askins. Hold on, just had a weird thought. Hey Google, how many calories in a vagina?
I can search the web for that. Just tap the search chip below.
Hold on, bear with me. About 9 calories apparently. Who says these videos aren't educational? But anyway, I started dieting like a madman. Started off doing the ketogenic diet. Basically high protein, high fat, low carb. So meat, eggs and some veg. No sugar, which sounds straightforward enough. But when you start dieting, the first thing you realise is that everything that has flavour has sugar. Even things you wouldn't even think of. Yogurt, fruit, granola bars. Even when you want to put some sauce to flavour the mince and eggs you've been eating for 3 months straight. Yep, sugar. Want to go for a few pints with the lads in the pub? Sugar. Want a cup of instant soup to take the edge off of the hunger at 9 PM? Yeah, you guessed it. Sugar. I was deprived for sugar so bad for so long that I started kissing the missus more often just to get a hit off her cherry lip gloss. I did try those sugar-free sweets you can get, which I can tell you firsthand are fantastic for losing weight. Especially if you're like me and were completely unaware that eating too many of them acts like a laxative, causing what I can only describe as brown water rapids to spray out your back end like somebody sliced open an above-ground swimming pool. You lose so much moisture from your body after one of those evacuations, you end up walking out of the bathroom looking like f***ing Schmeagol. Another thing people don't warn you about when you start eating healthy food is expensive. You end up eating half as much as you used to, but somehow spending twice as much money. And trust me, YouTube isn't nearly as lucrative as people think, so I do feel a sting with every trip to Aldi, to the point I start getting angry at food. 30% less sugar? Then why does it cost more? But regardless, I managed to stick to my miserable diet over the next 6 months, out of nothing else but sheer pig-headed stubbornness. It wasn't an easy 6 months. I swear in those 6 months I don't think I've ever been invited to so many things that involve consuming an abundance of bad calories. I had to pass up 44 weddings, 85 boozing sessions, and 114 slices of birthday cake, which is weird because I only know like 11 people. But as I said, sheer stubbornness got me through it, and at the end of this 6 months I had shed 58 pounds, which is just over 4 stone, or the equivalent to a bag of cement. I started to realise just how overweight I was when people who hadn't seen me in a while said, "Wow Ducky, you're after losing some load of weight, you look great," which I know is them trying to be nice. They're just politely giving me a boost. I know their heart is in the right place, but I have a question direct at those people if you will indulge me. And my question is, if you can see that I've lost weight, then you must have noticed that I was previously overweight. So my question is, why didn't you tell me I was getting fat when I was getting fat? I am looking at me every day. I don't know, it's too gradual for me to see. You could have told me sooner. I could have addressed this before it got as bad as it did. You could have saved me months of misery. Do you know what chicken and fucking broccoli is like for breakfast? Do you know how to smoothly explain away an erection on the ice cream aisle? Do you know what it's like for a duck to cut out bread? Do you? I would have filleted a priest for a communion wafer. Another thing that people don't tell you is diets don't end. Not really anyway. It is very easy to put all that weight back on. Fat you is always hovering over your shoulder every time you need to do a bit of shopping on an empty stomach, whispering bad advice into your ear.
Go on, Ducky. You know you're not arsed cooking tonight.
No, fuck off, fat ducky.
Ah, lad, go on. You haven't had a pizza in months. You've earned it.
Well, I kind of have, haven't I?
Yeah, man, definitely. And you know what'll go well with that pizza?
Steamed veg?
No, 3 words. Another f***ing pizza.
You think the fact that both me and my missus were dieting at the same time would have helped matters, but honestly, I think it made things worse. We just ended up waiting on the other person to crack so we could blame them instead of ourselves for eating shit.
That coronavirus is looking bad, isn't it?
Well, that fucks that now, Connie, doesn't it? You got me thinking about Chinese food. Get your coat. They're closed in 10 minutes. But as I said, I eventually shifted the worst of the weight. Now, it was at this time I started to hit the gym because I was getting sick of that oxygen tank taking up space at the top of the stairs. Yeah, believe it or not, when you work a job that has you standing in one spot all day and then spend the rest of your free time sitting in front of a PC, you end up being about as fit as an asthmatic at an orgy. You know you're unfit when you're less than a minute into the hop and you're fighting to maintain your horn out of sheer exhaustion. The only thing truly pumping is the sound of a heartbeat in your own ears. Ye women don't need to worry about these things, do ye? Ye can just stop and catch your breath and continue on as if nothing happened. Fellas have to juggle multiple things at once. We gotta fight total exhaustion, we gotta maintain the horn, we need to formulate an excuse in case we can't that avoids the
"Am I not attractive?"
trap card, all the while trying to cover up the fact that we're about to collapse because of damn male pride.
You doing okay?
Yeah, I can do this all day. Day one at the gym went as you'd expect. I walked in with no clue on what I was meant to be doing, became immediately intimidated by several Brock Lesnar looking fuckers, and then jumped onto what I thought was a machine for your biceps and stayed on that for a half an hour hiding behind my cape screaming,
Don't look at me.
This went on for some weeks. I eventually got used to being in there once I realised people who go to the gym are not staring at me. How could they? They're far too busy looking at themselves in the mirror. It's like being in a room full of rided up budgies. I swear, with all the flexing, twisting and posing, it's like you're walking through a palsy treatment centre. The only time they do look at anything other than themselves is when some tasty bird with a nice arse walks in the door. Then every bloke in the place stares like they've just opened an all-you-can-eat fanny buffet. Like they've never seen a woman before in their lives. But the thing that annoys me most about these thirsty fuckers is, I can't blame them. I level with you ladies. I go to the gym for one reason and one reason only. To pick up the heavy thing and put it back down and repeat this until somebody from Marvel approaches me with a movie deal. I don't go to check women out. Honestly, I don't, and I judge the back off any fella who keeps staring at a woman in the gym. It's weak, it's desperate, and it shows a lack of self-control that embarrasses the great gender of which I am from. I'm sure there's a few fellas watching this video right now who know a few creeps that they'd love to open palm slap some sense into for the sake of the gender's reputation. So we'll happily admit there is definitely a few men out there who are creeps, and they do frequent the gym. And I think if we can stand there and admit that and take responsibility, the least you can do is take a bit of responsibility on your end and admit that not every look you get is unjustifiable. And the fact a few guys have given you a cheeky glance might have something to do with the 50 BS exercises you're doing that you got off Instagram that all involve having your arse in the air looking like an alert meerkat in tall grass, thrusting in and out, left and right, all the while wearing pants so tight, transparent and thin they're about 2 steps away from being cling film. It's already hard enough trying to hold in a fart while you're running on a treadmill. I could do without the distraction. Granted, a lot of this stuff I anticipated before I started going to the gym. But the one thing I was very surprised about was the huge number of Dragon Ball fans that go to the gym. Yeah, you heard me right. You look at them and they all just seem like meathead bros that care more about the size of their arms than the size of their balls. And that's what I thought too, until you actually see them lifting weights. Just like old Goku and the gang, as soon as they're under pressure, that is when they show their true power level. You be in the gym, minding your own business, working out your legs on the shoulder press, and you'll hear them from the other side of the gym starting to power up. Those fucking legends. I tell you what though, it is lucky that I know what Dragon Ball is. Otherwise, I would just think they were thick as pig shit knuckle draggers, screaming for attention like a fucking 6-year-old. But anyway, the long and short of it, I'm still hitting the gym at least 3 times a week. That is a lie. I missed the odd week because, well, I just didn't feel like going. But I am more consistent than I ever thought I would be. So that's a win in my book. I was going to leave this video here, but then I thought there is a lot of people out there that probably relate to me on some level and want to shed a bit of tub. So I thought I'd end this with some advice I learned over the last couple of years when it comes to diet and exercising. Tip 1. Food cravings do go away. For me, it took about 3 days of solid dieting before junk food cravings went away. First couple of days, you're a slave to your cravings, and those bastards will be running wild. This is why cheat days for me were especially bad, because it just resets my cravings. And then I have to go and get back into the swing of things again. You will probably break and have a bad snack or something you shouldn't, but you gotta be realistic with yourself. It takes time to flick that mental switch from food is nice to food is fuel. So account for fuck-ups and power through. Tip 2. If you want to lose weight fast, the steak and egg diet is my recommendation. I was losing about 4 to 5 pounds a week consistently. That's not a horseshit magazine clickbait title. It's fact. It's high protein, so it'll actually suppress your appetite, but the true secret to it is you get so fucking sick of eating steak and eggs that the thought of eating one more meal makes you feel ill. So you only end up eating when you're really hungry. Granted, dropping weight that fast is probably unhealthy, but it's a hard diet to stick to for more than a couple of months. And by then you would have already done a lot of the work, so you can just switch to a more tolerable diet. Tip 3. If you're an introvert, go to the gym stupidly early. At least in the gym where I go, it's really quiet up there at 7 in the morning. So that's when I go. I don't have to deal with people and all the machines are available. It's like having your own private gym. Yes, I'm a night owl and it's difficult to work around, but it's worth the trade-off. Tip 4. It takes time. Ignore the abs in 20 minutes. Beach body in a week. From dumpy to doable in 14 days. You're not going to melt away a fat arse in 2 weeks. It takes months. But what is a few months really? What were you doing like 3 months ago? And tip 5, because 4 tips is weird. About 2 days into your diet, you'll get a letter in your door. Don't be alarmed. Everyone who gets into fitness gets this. All it is a letter threatening your entire family unless you tell everyone every detail about your diet and fitness plan, even when they don't ask, and especially when they pay you a compliment about your appearance. They want you to beat them over the head with it. I don't know why you have to do this, how they know you're dieting, how they got your address, or even what they'll do if you don't do what they ask. But so far, we've not been able to figure out who or what sent them. We can only assume that they're not bluffing, so until we know more, just do what they ask. Stay safe, like, Subway, and I will catch you lads and ladies in the next one.